I don't hear anything.
Yeah, no, I don't either.
Hello. We're live.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to LessonPix Live. I'm Bill Binko, co-founder of LessonPix. This is, as always, my wife and partner, Lori. How are you?
Good. How are you today?
I'm good. We have problem being quiet.
Oh, it's all good. Well, there was no countdown this time.
I know. I did that on purpose because otherwise, whenever it shows the preview, it just shows the stupid countdown.
Oh.
We got to give it a few seconds to start, and somebody couldn't wait. She's so excited that we're gonna have to bring her in and let her start talking. But what are we going to talk about tonight, Lori? What's our plan?
Literacy.
Literacy.
Woo-hoo.
All about LessonPix and literacy.
Language literacy and Go.
ReadTopiaGo and ReadTopia. We'll talk about ReadTopia as well. All things building wings and how we can support that, how we can support literacy in general. And we have a special guest.
LessonPix plays well with building wings in
It
general.
does. In general, yeah. And all the comprehensive literacy folks, right? But we have a special guest, and we need to give her enough time to grab a cocktail if she'd like and have a sip. Ready?
Well, we want to find out who our special guest is.
All right, let's see.
Here we go.
All right. So who is our special guest? It's Maureen Donnelly from Building Wings. Hi, Maureen. How are you?
Hi, guys. So happy to be here tonight.
You love our new entry video clip?
Lori went nuts. We were I think Lori saw everybody trying real hard to catch up over the last couple of weeks and said, get on my game. And she went and made a whole bunch of intros.
She did. But what I did forget, my visual schedule for tonight's show.
That's okay. We know what it is.
All
We're
right.
gonna do this first. And Maureen, we can also see the comments from everybody from Facebook and YouTube. So everybody who's over there, thank you. We got people who are just excited and they're forward to this. And listen, Warren, giving you a little bit of grief.
That's her job. I expect her to do that all night.
Morgan from Building Wings is here, and we've been a lifesaver. See, once again, a lifesaver, and Beth and Maureen, very deserving of a dramatic welcome.
I love
Absolutely. So thank you all. We can see your comments. We can absolutely take your questions. And as we talk through with Maureen tonight, we're going to be giving away door prizes at the end. And how are they going to win them?
Isn't this cool? All right. So in order to win, you need to comment. But in the comment, I want you to share your favorite literacy activity, something that you find really works.
And it doesn't have to be LessonPix. We like that.
Any strategy.
Any strategy you use for literacy, whether it's for emergent readers or the other word, conventional readers. Yes. Tell us any resources that you use that are helpful. And Beth, this time, instead of assigning numbers, you are going to keep track of all the names of the people who put them in there. In fact, put in idea, : when you add your idea, just so we know where you are. Beth will keep track of it. We'll do a drawing at the end. And Maureen, what are they going to win?
Well, we are going to give away 1 free year subscription to ReadTopiaGo.
Excellent. And I think we're going to give away, we made a tradition of giving away LessonPix, so we will do that too. But the ReadTopiaGo are a significantly more valuable resource. Yes.
By far.
So,
by far.
And they'll be able to use that. Now, what are you licensed by? Is that per teacher or per classroom? How does it work on ReadTopia?
Me? I'm sorry, what was the question?
ReadTopiaGo, how is that licensed? Is it per teacher, per classroom, per student?
Teacher, yeah.
All right. Beth, are you keeping up with all these ideas? Or something
I am trying to. Bill and Lori, your volume is going in and out of position, but there's times that you seem to be. So
okay. Well, I have a setting for that. I turned it on and I shouldn't have. Under audio, I said automatically adjust mic volume. I'll turn that off.
Yes.
All right. So, Maureen, you are from Building Wings, a Don Johnston company, and you have worked with us at length with LessonPix for ReadTopia, and now you're working with us on ReadTopiaGo. Can you let me give you more of a stage here for a Before you go off and tell us a little bit more about ReadTopiaGo, can you give a little bit of background on, and maybe there are pictures you want to show for this, but tell me about Building Wings and Readtopia first, and then how's ReadTopiaGo different? What are we doing different here?
So I'll start with Building Wings. So Building Wings is a company that was formed now almost 3 years ago. It's the brainchild of Don Johnston and Trish Johnson. And Don is an individual who was significantly impacted by dyslexia and didn't actually learn to read all the way through middle school. And it wasn't until he was in high school, and he's such a bright and curious man, that one of his teachers finally sat him down and said, "That's it. This is it. We're gonna figure out what's hindering you, and we're gonna support you in learning to read." And so for Don, who has a long trajectory as an entrepreneur in the education and ed tech space, this is a passion project. He says a lot of people get a boat, and he got Building Wings. And so, yeah, and he's been a powerful and supportive mentor to me and so many people. And so it's been, I joined the Building Wings company just as it was founded, and it's been such a joy to work with so many like-minded people who share the passion for language and literacy development for all of our kids, and just everyone is rowing in the same direction and has a heart in the right place. So it's really been a powerful collaboration. And then I can tell you about Readtopia once I get into my deck.
Sure. All right. So let's get started with that. Let's let you have a little bit of time to teach us more about Readtopia and ReadTopiaGo.
I love the ideas coming in, by the way.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of ideas that are gonna enter you guys for and don't be picky on whether they said idea, Beth. You can keep track.
I'm just, believe me, I'm right now.
You got to click. You got it. So I am. Let me share your screen. There you go. This is that one.
There you go.
How about that? All right. Go.
All right. Well, first, I just want to say a very quick but heartfelt thank you to Bill and Lori and Beth, who are just humans I really enjoy personally, but also speaking of like-minded and passionate folk, it's been such a joy to get to know you and to collaborate. And so I just want to thank you for this little platform, and also for the ongoing opportunity that we have to sort of continue to work in the current with you. And so I'll just, I kind of stole my own thunder because I talked a little bit about Don, and this was the book that he wrote for middle schoolers called Building Wings, and that's really how we got our name. One of the things, so I was lucky enough, I started my career, after college, I started my career in New York City. I was working in children's publishing, and then I moved to California, and I was working for a children's game publisher. And I was starting to think, I kind of always knew I wanted to do some version of this work, but I wasn't really sure. What to call it or how to get there. And one thing I knew was that I was super curious about how people learn to read. And so while I was in San Francisco, I joined the certification program and got an early childhood certificate. Lori and I are pretty like-minded in terms of our passion for early childhood education. And so I was working in classrooms, and long story short, decided that, I'd been doing some successful things from a literacy perspective with my kids and of all abilities, but I also kind of didn't know what I was doing. I really didn't have a framework. And so at that point, I joined a master's program at the University of New Hampshire, and I met Karen Erickson, who absolutely has been a very dear friend, the best teacher I've ever known, and the most significant mentor. And so
just to interrupt you, probably one of the 4 or 5 brightest people I've ever met in my life.
100%.
I work around really smart people, and Karen is off the charts.
It's off. Yeah. My colleague, Dr. Allison Dennis, says when we collaborate with Karen, it's like playing basketball with Michael Jordan. Like, we're just trying to keep
exactly up. Right. Exactly.
But anyway, so one of the first lessons I learned from Karen was that while it would be so amazing if we could pull out every skill and sub-skill set that is involved in learning language and vocabulary, and also learning to read, and teach it to mastery and move to the next and move to the next, kind of like how we do with math, it isn't how it works. Learning language and literacy are cognitive linguistic in nature. So that's sort of the bad news, is that it's a more complex and sort of more interior process. But the great news is that any aspect of reading, writing, listening, and communicating are all mutually reinforcing to each other. So any time spent in any of these 4 domains is going to produce gains and results in others. And so that's the happy news. You know, one of the things it's like, you know, a lot of us find ourselves in special education contexts with, you know, with maybe a paraprofessional, a bunch of kids, and not a lot of support beyond that. And if the question is, where do I begin? I would argue that, you know, becoming a communicator and learning to read is probably the foundation of anything we can do as citizens. And the goal of education is always to produce citizens. And so I say, you know, literacy and language are the life skills that we try to teach.
And that's to everybody, regardless of whether they're AAC users or nonverbal or verbal, it doesn't matter. Literacy is goal number 1. Right?
Yeah, it's the life skill, right? And I always go back to the goal of public education in our country and around the world is to build engaged and participating citizens. And I can't really think of anything you can do as a citizen that doesn't also require some degree of literacy. And so, you know, one of the things we think about is that, you know, we are a literacy curriculum company and know that age-respectful content, media-rich content, evidence-based practices, good books, all of that matters. But really, we know that like in the trenches, teachers, SLPs, paraprofessionals are facing some really significant burdens that aren't actually getting easier. And one of them is time. One of our thought leaders in the space, Phil Maycomber, always talks about how teachers are asked to do more every year, but aren't also given more minutes and hours in which to do it. Another is, you know, establishing this sort of baseline communication for all of the learners in our classroom, right? It's really, you know, I think about myself as an interactive learner, and it's really hard to imagine engaging in any kind of meaningful learning without having sort of a reliable and consistent way to communicate. I think that, you know, we find ourselves in an increasingly politicized climate in education, both in general ed and special education. And so, you know, and more, I would say in the last, 3-5 years, you know, we are facing legislative mandates to align our curriculum to the body of research known as the science of reading, for example. And so that's an additional sort of something we need to face. And then also, you know, a lot of times, you know, one of the things that Karen talks about, which I think is such an important thing to think about when supporting the literacy and language needs of learners, is that these, in order to become proficient, it's about being experience dependent, not age dependent, right? So I might have a 5th grader who comes into my classroom who didn't have all the foundational experiences that your average 3-year-old gets, and allows them to be able to learn to read and grow. And so I have to look at my 5th grader as a child who's 10 years old, who has 10-year-old interests, but also understand that without that foundation, without providing that foundation, without giving that child a chance to be guided in meaningful and evidence-based curriculum, but also exploring on his own, right? I'm not going to be able to get where I want to go. And so that's just one example of one kid, but there are going to be all kinds of kids in our classroom who are at various beginning stages. And so all of them need support. And what does that look like? And so I just picked those 4. But I wondered if maybe in the chat, people wanted to add some additional challenges that they face. And maybe Beth, do you want to read that out as they come in?
Sure.
That will take time, I promise.
It'll take. I agree. I feel like there's this issue in terms of time, and this was something that I tried to adhere to when I was an administrator in public schools. And that was, if I give the teachers another thing to do, I have to take something else off their plate because there's never enough. Yeah. Don Mary said no AAC for all as an issue there, that there's not.
Yeah, even the concept of having to prove efficacy in order to get access to devices or even sometimes low-tech devices.
Yeah.
All of that is certainly an additional challenge.
Impossible.
Yeah. And also, I think I will get in trouble. Lori will kick me under the table. But I saw recently in a setting that we were in on the AT Maker side, I saw I saw low expectations from people who shouldn't have had low expectations, right? Or from therapists and professionals in a center school where the expectations should have been, how are we going to get this person to read? How are we going to get this person to experience everything that they possibly can? Just from whether from frustration or lack of resources or lack of success, whatever their reasoning was, they honestly were not setting it's the low expectations are self-fulfilling, right?
It's absolutely true. One of the things that it's such a great point, and one of the things I think about is that, here I am working at my desk. I've got Karen on my shoulder every day. I'm all about delivering, nobody's to anything to learn to read and write, and really believe this with every cell in my body. And then sometimes I go into classrooms and the kids file in and they're piloting some new thing we're doing. And I think, it's going to be too hard, right? Like even somebody who has absolutely, as an early childhood educator, organized around this idea of like, well, we've got nature, nurture's the thing we can work with. I find that internal bias is something I have to combat. And so it's just something I think we all, either externally or internally, kind of just have to sort of check inside of ourselves as it comes up. The other thing I think teachers face, which is incredibly challenging, is this kind of rotating casts of colleagues, right? Like we have a lot of teachers leaving our field. We have a lot of newcomers coming in, which is awesome. But some of our newer colleagues may or may not have the training that would get them up and running on the first day. And so that's another challenge that, I certainly see and hear a lot about. But maybe we'll move on. Should we keep going?
Let me show some of the things on here, right? So we've got, other challenges, staffing to provide support.
Judy's right above too.
Sorry. Enrichment materials are missing or not allowed.
Not allowed is
right. Lack of training for para-educators. Medical challenges of a student on a daily basis greatly affect.
Absolutely.
On some days. An overwhelming caseload, right? Certainly see that in the speech path side and elsewhere probably, but I that's right here about it the most. Size of caseloads, yep. Alyssa says low expectations are tied to adults being afraid to admit what they don't know and our professional learning not yet catching up to what research says is best practice for special education professionals, right? I'm glad she's saying it, not me. This is a suggestion to Dawn about how to get additional help from my AT folks. So I think you're right. I think that there's more to it than these, but these are great ones, right? So
and I was just gonna comment with one thing, Maureen, what you said about like walking into a classroom and thinking something's too hard. It's okay to think something's going to be hard. Like I had that experience today when I was working with a student, and it was instead of like, okay, well, it's too hard, so we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
It's too hard right now. What I set up for them is too hard. So what supports am I going to put in place so that they can be successful, right? And I think that's the piece. Like, it's not that we're so perfect that we come in with the Goldilocks recipe of just right all the time, right? It's what do we put in place?
Yeah, and also I think we're pirates, right? We pirates what's happening around us, and if what's happening around us is good, meaningful curriculum, we'll pirate it, and if it's not, sometimes we'll pirate that too. And so that's something to think about, is just to keep that discerning eye on what's happening around you, and kind of whether or not it really kind of dovetails with your philosophy and approach to supporting our kiddos. Yeah. And so I'm going to move.
We are getting some comments that get cut out. So
your voice is still in and out a little bit, Bill, in particular.
Okay.
Interesting.
So I think actually some people might have been seeing, like, we got a warning that the internet was slow. Okay. So I'm sorry if it gets out on you. Don't stress. It's probably not you, because I got a warning too, but it looks fine for us, so we can't see it. I'm sorry about the audio. I will try to talk more this way. It should be okay. So let's talk about the where. Go ahead.
Okay. So on this slide, obviously I'm showing a picture of Dr. Karen Erickson, who's the director for the Center for Literacy and Disability Studies at Chapel Hill. And this is my friend and colleague who I've been collaborating with for more than 30 years. And I had the chance to introduce her at a session once. And I said, I'm just going to go out there and say, arguably, this person has been driving us and pushing us forward for the last, almost single-handedly, sort of changing the definition of who can learn and what they can learn. And everybody got up and clapped. And that obviously the work that Karen does and continues to do every day, that woman is a machine, and her passion is unrivaled. And so Karen and her colleague, Dr. David Copenhaver, about, I want to say 5 years ago, produced this methods textbook. It's not a curriculum, it's a methods textbook. And the nice thing about this methods textbook is that it's a culmination of the work that she's been doing in classrooms, learning about what works and what doesn't, and really delivering the research to us in some really kind of palatable and consumable operative ways. Karen uses the word comprehensive, just like the authors of the National Reading Panel use the word comprehensive, which means that learners need diverse daily instruction in order to learn and grow as readers and writers. And so comprehensive isn't a buzzword. It's not balanced literacy. It's not structured literacy. It just means that every single day we need to engage in as many or all aspects of guided independent reading, writing, and communicating. And so this book, I think, has really changed the field. And I see more and more that the traction as a result, taking all of this research and presenting it to us in such a sensible and consumable way has really changed, has really kind of given us a higher tide in terms of the instruction and the experiences we see all around the country as a result of this book. And
I think that, yeah, while we have that book up, I'm an engineer. I read that book and understood every word of it. I think that a lot of parents who are looking for something that does say, yes, you can teach your kid who's an AAC user to read, you can read this book. Like, it's
Amen.
not, it has a lot of references to all, because she references every idea that she mentions. So like, you have to get used to skipping all the parentheses with the names. But other than that, like, you can totally read this book and get what you need out of it. It's very accessible.
100%. I like to say, I have a master's degree. I'm not a scholar by any measure. And this book is very, very readable to me as well. I really do struggle with some of the more scholarly kind of work, but right. I so admire that. I think, I know for myself, when I understand something really well, I can either write it or speak it very simply, but you have to sort of get to that point. And I think that book really shows. So I'm going to move forward. Sure. And so in the book, after decades of teaching people about diverse daily instruction and emergent and conventional readers, Karen and Dave finally kind of came about and developed this operationalized way for us to understand where our kids are in the developmental arc of learning to read and write, and not only where they are, but what to do for them. And their focus is on routines. And I think that is so incredibly brilliant, right? And so, for example, I've worked at Camp ALEC and other camps for kids with disabilities, on and off for the last decade or so. And one of the nice things about this paradigm that Karen and Dave have developed is that you don't need to be the world's leading expert on a child. You could spend maybe a school day or two with a child and have a general sense and a general ability to ask these 4 simple questions. And if you ask those 4 simple questions in that top box and you get the answer no consistently, then you have this really, this beginning emergent kid. And as I said before, learning to read and write is not age dependent, it's experience dependent. And so a lot of our AAC users fall into this emergent category. And so the bad news on that is that obviously it's a long road to independent conventional reading and writing. The great news on that is that it's never too late to build this foundation. And I want to go back to this idea of routines, right? So if there are 5 routines for both the emergent and the conventional learners, the nice thing about the routines is there's 5 or so of them. And so teachers can start delivering these routines. They're all described in the book, right? And every day we do them, we get better at them. So that's one aspect of good news. The other aspect of good news is that we're doing them every day. Our kids are starting to habituate to these routines. And so their attention stops being on the sort of like mechanics of what's being taught or trying to guess what we're expecting of them. And their focus can really shift to what it is we're trying to teach them, right?
Or the frustration of failing, right?
Right. Across all of these emergent routines or even conventional routines, And imagine if you start this, say, let's take that 5th grader I used as an example. We start in 5th grade and we keep doing that. And all the teachers in 5th and middle school and high school are engaging in first these emergent and then these conventional routines. Again, the focus is deeper and deeper on what it is we're trying to teach and not on guessing what we want from them or trying to figure out my AT tools or try, right? Because we're all habituating to sort of the operation of it and really focusing on the content. Do you want to add something, Bill or Lori?
I'm good.
I think you've done a great
you're doing
job
great.
explaining exactly.
Okay. I didn't want to jump ahead.
No, you're good.
So like I said, anyone is welcome to go to Amazon and buy this methods textbook for $29.99, I think. So that's one option. And you can read this book and it's easy to read and off you go. You can get started. Another option, so out of all of this work, and before I came into the picture in terms of building wings, Karen and Dawn and Caroline Musselwhite and others got together and built what I can say, because I wasn't part of the development of it, an incredible product that left this massive sort of shift, this inflection point in literacy instruction for students who face learning barriers. And the reason I say inflection point is because this program acknowledges this not age-dependent, experience-dependent thing, right? And so has all this age-respectful, rich media. So Don, as a person who struggled to read, understood that he needed someone to help provide him the gist to support his comprehension. So one of the things that he felt very passionate about doing was bringing in video to sort of build that background knowledge and provide that gist. The other clever thing the team did was took classic literature that's in the public domain and has provided differentiated text sets that level from the most beginners all the way to the conventional level where kids have some independent skill. And so in this perfect world, you could imagine that you could have learners of all abilities reading the Swiss Family Robinson or reading together Dr. Dolittle. And so I think one of the things I want to highlight is that ReadTopia came about, I want to say 6 or 7 or 8 years ago, and delivers this comprehensive instruction that's word for word described in the book, does it with age-respectful ways, does it with media in media-rich ways, and so that all kids can really kind of engage and feel good about the work they're doing. We know that, when we have that 5th grader reading Barney books is not going to put our kid on second base. But when we find that motivating topic or that motivating concept that really turns the key and gets us all working together. And so that's ReadTopia. That's for later elementary and beyond. There are units that are specifically for later elementary, middle school, and high school. There's new units coming out all the time. You could with ReadTopia, it's a massive product. You could go through all the units and it would take forever to get through them all. There's so many. But then Don and team and Trish and the rest of the folks at Building Wings was like, okay, great. We're doing so well. We're leaving this great big footprint with ReadTopia. What about life at the beginning of this developmental spectrum? Like, what if we started earlier? What if we caught our kids downstream? And so that's where Don hired me and my colleagues, and we developed this ReadTopiaGo, which is basically ReadTopia for all emergent kiddos that's built around the kinds of things we want to teach. One of the things that I think ReadTopiaGo does really well is that we're going to take that comprehensive literacy routines and support teachers in doing them, but also recognize that if I don't have a lot of background knowledge, I'm going to struggle to read independently anyway. And so the team got together and said, we looked at state and national frameworks and said, like, what is the what of early childhood? And I think Lori and I spoke about this, and this was really powerful. So we know that, they learn about themselves and they learn about community and family. They learn about animals and habitats. And we sort of culled all of those topics to sort of not only build these literacy skills, right, to build that increasing independence, but also to simultaneously build that knowledge, right? So that my whole experience in the school day is going to be increasingly meaningful, because one of the things we know about language learning is that it's all about repetition with variety. So if I hear the word read aloud to me in a book, and then I hear somebody using it when I'm engaged in a thematic play center, And then I see it come up in another unit. And then now maybe I'll start using that word to describe X, and on we go, that we're going to have all these varied but meaningful ways to kind of engage with the same concepts and vocabulary repeated over time. And so ReadTopiaGo is a comprehensive literacy program for the younger learners. And again, now that we have ReadTopiaGo, we have a pre-K to 12 solution, which I absolutely love for the kiddos, but really I love it for schools too, right? Because I've been in some of these magical classrooms and so many things are happening well. And I think, oh, are the teachers from the high school coming to see what you're doing? And my teaching colleague friends are like, no, they're like an island. But if you have a product like this, everybody understands the what, why, and how of these routines and starts rowing together. And so that feels incredibly powerful to me. So one of the things, sorry?
Before we go on.
Sorry?
Go back one slide.
Okay, yeah.
So before we go on, I do want to mention that we've played with you for both ReadTopia and ReadTopiaGo, right? So LessonPix has been actively involved. Beth specifically went through and created all these core boards and fringe boards and materials that are free in the LessonPix Sharing Center that match. There's one right there. So all of those are available to support ReadTopiaGo and let you add the things that are specific to this kiddo or this set of kiddos, right?
And much more just beyond even the things. I'm not the only person, right? Like there's a lot of other people out there using ReadTopia who are creating resources. And when you search some of those different units, you come up with some really fantastic stuff that people have created.
And maybe you were going to get to that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I 100% was going to get to that. I'm sorry, I was going on and on about ReadTopia, but anyway.
That's why you're here. So.
You wouldn't be here.
Yeah, and so I do want to point out, so this is the web page of ReadTopiaGo. But if you go to resources, you can find this core-based communication booklet built right into the program. I also have a copy of it printed and spiral bound right here. Can you guys see this?
Yep.
Yeah, we see that, but you're still on your wheel on your picture.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, anyway, so the nice thing is that you can access that booklet right there, but also you can access it right in LessonPix for free. And I think that's incredible. And so what we did was when we built, I'm going to go ahead and show you this.
Sure.
So I was talking a little bit about like the sort of what of early childhood. I think this will look really familiar to you, Lori. Mm-hmm. But basically, we build these sort of multidisciplinary collections. You can sort of follow our approach and do it this way, or you can dig deep on any one of those colors and really follow the crowd and really kind of build that knowledge and engagement and excitement. But what's so nice is that Beth and Lori have taken these concepts and then built within the LessonPix platform board games, sequencing activities, sorting activities. And so I like to think about this LessonPix platform as an opportunity to take your comprehensive literacy instruction and enrich, enhance, and extend it. And so one of the elements that we have brought into ReadTopiaGo are thematic play centers. And this is an example of our thematic play centers. So there's like 5 of them, and every topic has 3. They're STEM and arts and crafts and pretend play and movement. But so I pulled them and when we were developing these, I thought, any Joe Schmo can build a thematic play center, but what's important is making them accessible to all. And so we worked with Dr. Gretchen Hanser to provide physical communication and AAC tips. But I also think about all of the games and all of the activities that Beth and Lori have built to support this. And so talk about meaningful language use and repetition with variety. The LessonPix platform, it is absolutely endless in terms of how to support that literacy instruction. And really, according to me, like pennies on the dollar to do it. And so I think that I will just go back and say that in addition to these sort of natural language opportunities and the extension, and also just the free resource of having the booklet on our site and on their platform, we also got permission from LessonPix to build, sort of hands-on activities into the everyday instruction. So for example, when we're learning about the moon, we're going to have a puppet show about the moon. This is the video to build the gist, and we have a star puppet named Gertrude. But the LessonPix activity is there that could be every child could have a copy of this. We could be doing it as a group,
Right.
but there's just no end of opportunity to kind of enhance, enrich, and extend.
Yeah, no, I think it's important to know that in the teacher guide for ReadTopiaGo, you'll find LessonPix items, right? But those things are also in the sharing center. They're also like you can use them as a starting point for modifying them for yourself. And then Lori is on your thematic units. You are making sure. I don't think we're 100% on your year 3 and 4, but right?
No. But what I know is the units they have picked are pretty much general for a lot of the pre-K curriculums, whether you're in gen ed or special ed. I know in the district I'm in, we're fully inclusive. So for our pre-K level kiddos, they're an inclusive environment. So these topics really are in line with what every child is learning and building that prior knowledge, building that language, and the foundation for strong reading and language skills.
So you'll find like on that wheel, bring your wheel up for a second. Morgan?
Yeah.
That goes over the thematic
Not
units.
that wheel.
Oh, that one.
Yep,
There you go.
So like all of these, so the vast majority of these already have materials and symbols that go with these, but you also have articles for a lot of them, and you will have articles for all.
Yes,
eventually.
that's the intention.
Yeah.
And like you talked about, and embedded opportunities throughout, and
Right.
even just arrival, having little activities on the table. You never know what the kids are going to really gravitate toward,
Right.
and how you're going to engage them. And sometimes they're in completely unexpected ways.
Yep.
But having a lot of variety and opportunity just makes a really rich learning environment.
Right. And one of the nice things about LessonPix is that we've got the symbols that go with each of these, right? You've got a kid who needs an eye gaze board. You've got a kid who needs large text. You've got a kid who needs high contrast. You can modify it to fit that kid as part of your normal $36 subscription, and just know that we've got the material, the symbols in order to support you doing it.
Yeah, and the reason I put this slide is because like this is the theoretical framework that I literally hang in my office and try to sort of embrace and celebrate every day. This is in practice, right? That I have my AAC supports that are core based. I have fringe. The fringe grows with the learners, so that when you're in ReadTopiaGo, you have this much fringe, and when you're in ReadTopia, you have this much fringe. And so I think like our collaboration, besides being just really gratifying, is so powerful because it really kind of lives out this theoretical framework that you can't do language without literacy, and you can't do literacy without language.
Right. We do have a comment. It's from
and I was just going to add, I think somebody earlier had.
Go ahead, Beth.
Oh, I was just going to add, John, I think earlier had said one of the barriers was the not AAC for everyone. Well, between the booklet for ReadTopiaGo and the booklet for ReadTopia, you can have it. I mean, it's simply the cost of paper and ink, right? It's not the be all end all. It is not the long-term permanent communications solution for somebody who needs a complex augmentative communication system, but it sure is a wonderful place to start and to make it available. And that idea of having it, if you've just got those scattered around your classroom, it's going to support, especially in these early childhood classrooms, which tend to be much more inclusive, it's going to support not just that student that you might be looking at a long-term augmentative communications solution for, but also for the child that's coming in who is learning English for the first time in a classroom setting, or the child who just has language delays and vocabulary delays, but they're able to understand and produce so much more when they have some visual supports in the via that communication book. So for back to that question that somebody, or that barrier that somebody put, this is a way to.
Whoops. All right, wrong button. There you go.
The other thing I want to mention is that within the teacher guide of ReadTopiaGo, We have every topic is organized around a book. We read the book 5 times, and we provide those shared reading supports that are literally based on this communication booklet, right? And so I might say, oh yeah, look, we all do it. We all do that, right? So I'm spending time with this core board every single day, writing those shared reading prompts to engage our kids in the page-by-page experience of reading a book aloud, but also not to test them about what they know, but to engage them in what they think. And so this core page is very much embedded in the instructional day-to-day topic-based learning that happens in ReadTopiaGo.
Awesome.
I love it. I know I was absolutely floored at the effects of having those around the classroom, teaching an inclusion classroom. And I had students in there that had fluency issues, right? They were talking so fast and then would get stuck on words, and the core board was amazing. Right. And then they became the models.
Yeah.
I was like, can
right?
you just sit next to this student over here, and you guys are going to play language, and I just have them there, and you can see like the pride in all the kids sitting at the table.
Yeah.
About it. And because they are early words, they were also looking at those core boards for reading and writing. So like your visual shows, it's all connected.
And it's an evidence-based practice, right? The kids are better at scaffolding each other than we are of them. And so what a powerful, I was at a school where every parent that checks in to volunteer at the school gets their own core board. And so it just
nice.
The communication, right? And so I just think that this is so powerful. The other thing I want to say is we have all this fringe. And what's so amazing about this is it's not organized by ReadTopiaGo topic or Readtopia topic. And I think that's so powerful, right? Because this is your language, right? The unit of Anne of Green Gables. The purpose of the Anne of Green Gables unit is not to become the world's leading expert on Anne of Green Gables. It's to engage in knowledge building and literacy skill building and use those words. And so if we were to organize them in these false silos, we limit kids to success in the lesson or in the school day. But this is your language for life. And this is a companion. Even if you have a high-tech device, this is your companion. There's always going to be a day you're going to need this. And so this is not some paper nothing. This is actually a really powerful tool.
We did have a comment from Deborah, right? I've heard that generally after 3rd grade, you're learning to read, and then you're reading to learn. I work with a lot of emergent linguistic AAC users. I'd be interested in learning how to work with reading and coding with them. I think we've talked about some of it, right? How to include other forms of AAC that are lower tech and stuff. But do you have anything? I mean, in the book, there's lots. If you haven't read the book, Deborah, definitely pick up the book. They go through a lot of how to bring it in.
And actually, it's a good time to mention what Alyssa said.
Yeah, so I want to. Can I respond to that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Am I sharing my screen, or or do you control that, Bill? Oh yeah. So I want to answer that specifically. So we built this cycle, right? And so one of the things that Karen's research has shown that we used to say to people, we'll start with shared reading, all right? And we literally provide the language support so you can turn the page, and we have a default thing that you can say that links to your AAC booklet, but you also could do it yourself. You don't have to do it our way. And what we found is that people were just doing shared reading. So I would say to that person, I would go to that framework of emergent and conventional, answer the questions. But if you have emergent kiddos, I would start with shared reading, and then I would bring in predictable chart writing. And honestly, the nice thing about those 2 activities is that they are community builders, and nobody can be wrong, right? If we're doing a predictable chart, which is you have a sentence stem, I like to go, right? There isn't a wrong answer to that. I'm sharing my experience and my opinion. And it sort of creates this really friendly and meaningful welcoming space for every single person in the community, right? Even if the kid said, I like to go to the moon, you'd be like, oh, okay. Well, I'm going to put the moon down. I didn't know you'd been to the moon, right? So there isn't a way to be wrong. Just like when we engage in shared reading, it's not about what you know, it's about what you think. And so I think about those 2 practices as great starting places. Even if your kid's skill level is a little bit higher than that, I still think that like building that sense of confidence, building a little bit of kind of know-how is going to take you a long way. So I think that's a great start. I would definitely recommend the book. And I also, frankly, would recommend looking at these comprehensive products. And also, LessonPix and seeing how you can kind of build a world for your kiddo with the LessonPix platform.
I'd love to share I don't know where you're at with the slides with your deck.
Me neither.
there.
I don't know either.
We're talking like there's a lot of already created resources and everything, but I'd love to share like just the idea too. It's not always, there are times that you don't know what you need until you need it, right? Bill, if you don't mind sharing.
Can you share your screen? Yeah.
Yeah. So here is some pages from Casey at the Bat, one of the Readtopia books. And you can see I annotated on top of it because, we were talking about the word bat. And I realized that the student that I was working with didn't even though this was teaching about baseball, she didn't have enough background knowledge at that moment to really understand. And the picture for her of a bat it wasn't clear enough, right? She needed more, right, than that. And so we were really quickly able to go, let me just make sure I get on, there we go. I didn't have something prepared to teach it. So I just went to, and I searched baseball in LessonPix, and I was able to find a baseball bat. I was able to find a baseball, pictures of it. And if people don't know this, you can actually click on any picture in LessonPix and you can copy that image, and you're going to have a really nice non-pixelated image. And I could just, because of the tool I was using I pulled the images into Cami so we could manipulate. So we could bring that in and we could really talk about it. And there's one page where it talks about the ball and the velocity of the ball and the ball going across the field. And we were able to go like this. Now, could I have just Googled those images? Sure. But then I would have been going through all the garbage of the images that didn't relate when I pulled it up. When I pull it up in LessonPix, I know I'm just going to get really clear, easy, comprehensible images that are going to be meaningful with no garbage, no background noise to them or anything like that. Same thing if I was, if we were reading 20,000, it's not 2,000, it's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, and there's a lot, it takes place, obviously under the sea. And I can pull up and really help build that background knowledge in a very, because you don't know what you might need sometimes until you're in the moment for it. And so that's just, a really practical example of how all the planning in the world, I still can just go into it and find what I need at that moment and capture it.
And I think that's a great example, right? So we know the value of comprehensive literacy instruction, but the value of enhancing, enriching, extending for the specific needs of that kiddo is really something. And one of the things that Lori and I have talked about as early childhood educators and also special educators is like, we have to read the room. We never get the benefit of kids performing learning for us. They're just not going to do it. That's kind of the good news, right? And so Beth being able to go to LessonPix and pull this up and support this in a sort of dynamic visual way, I think is just exactly what's needed in the moment. And I think that LessonPix provides so many, that's one, we could probably sit here for another 2 hours and generate a million micro ideas that connect the two, which is also what I would say one last thing is, besides it being a joy to work with Bill and Lori and Beth, I go back to that slide that says this is the theoretical framework, and actually we're kind of living it out by pairing these two companies who both share this passion for language and literacy and making them work together so seamlessly and at a certain level free. So that's kind of my spiel, but I'm happy to keep talking if needed. I have a lot of words in my head, but also to answer questions.
But yeah, let's see if we have questions for Maureen. So first, any questions for Maureen? We did get Deborah's and we've seen some others. I saw Alyssa Warren had said, if you are interested in the book study, Alyssa runs it. Somebody said they did a book study, but Alyssa runs the Facebook book study group for Comprehensive Literacy for All. She says, and you can just search for Comprehensive Literacy for All book study, and she will have it. And Alyssa does a fantastic job of doing that. We will probably show some things related to this going forward, but yes, we absolutely have the things to support ReadTopiaGo. As you add your units, we will add more to LessonPix, and we'll probably have some more announcements with you as you do. You had a thing up there that showed how to contact you. There's a ReadTopiaGo, is that Twitter or Go forward one.
Oh, hang on.
You're good. That's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Threads, and buildingwings.com. They also are, so Maureen is also on Building Wings. I think ReadTopiaGo has its own thing too somewhere, right?
Yeah, if you go to the Building Wings website, you would see all the products. But if you went to mylearningliftoff.com, then you can get free samples of the products as well. Sure. Or you could go to LessonPix, and you'll also see the versions of the AAC communication booklets and explore some of the other activities.
Sure. So Alyssa says, so somebody asked, can you reshare the book club info? The book study is on Facebook. If you search for Comprehensive Literacy for All, it will come up.
And the one before it.
And this has the link, which they can't click.
But,
yeah, it's there. Maybe next time, Alyssa will have a QR code so they can point their phones at it. CL for all is not hard. And so I think that's probably a good point for us. Can you stay for the rest of this?
100%. I just lost where I was in the PowerPoint, and I wanted to say that I'm proud to be collaborating with you two. And
and we will be doing quite a bit more, and with Karen as well. We love working with her and Caroline Musselwhite. So this is our crew. So when it comes to literacy, I mean, Karen's the guru, and she's everybody's crew. But she's
Michael Jordan.
She is Michael Jordan, right? We're happy to be on her team, not the other way. But ReadTopia and LessonPix have worked together on literacy for a couple of years now. Mm-hmm. And Don's been great. He sent you to the retreat we had and things like that. So we've got more coming.
That's the nice thing about LessonPix. And all of us, actually, we're all growing and learning together.
Absolutely.
Getting better and better. Yeah. And hopefully we can put that into both these products, both these companies, I should say, in order to make everything go better.
All right.
Are you ready?
I am. I'm ready. We're gonna take back this show. Thank you, Maureen, for sharing so much about ReadTopiaGo.
Excellent.
We are gonna go through a couple other things
really quickly because we're running out of time. So we're gonna
get the prizes at the end.
Yes.
I know. But we're gonna do this one first. So we're gonna do what?
Busted.
We busted. I'll make it bigger. Everybody can see. so we're good. And Maureen is getting over a miserable respiratory infection. So sorry, but we do have some more stuff to show you. We have some things that and we're hearing that there's something still going on with our volume.
That was a little bit ago.
Okay.
Well,
wait,
can you hear us?
Mm-hmm. All right. Good. All right, so let's take a look at my screen for a change, and let's say some things that are new at LessonPix.
We talked about thematic units last week,
right? But they're still there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go to articles, just because we're here, go down to thematic units. There are lots of thematic units that happen to align with ReadTopiaGo,
and some of the ones that would be very important would be like All About Me, where you can learn about your students and discover who they are,
and you get all kinds of stuff. At the beginning of the year, this is probably the most important thematic unit you have.
This one in families, learning about their culture, their traditions, their families.
Yep, and that's right in here too.
Mm-hmm.
Community helpers. I'm sure you got families right there. Feelings and emotions. All of these are. It's all your beginning of the year stuff. So that's in there, and so that is new. Some of that is new, but the thing we're going to showcase today is different.
It's under tips and tutorials.
Tips and tutorials. And it is not minimal pairs.
No, it is under the featured in the very beginning too. So
on the top
level,
go
to articles,
under articles, right here, mini tutorials on LessonPix. So this is where my wife has spent an insane amount of time making
this summer
very short, one-shot videos on things you need to know about LessonPix.
So I hear a lot from people who say, "I didn't know LessonPix can do that."
Right.
You know, oh, I didn't realize you could recolor or convert symbols to high contrast, or, you know, how to change my profile picture on there.
And so if you click on one of these, it will simply
mark favorites.
Hi, friend.
There you go.
So Lori will then show you exactly how to do it in like 3 minutes, 2 minutes. No time.
Some are under a minute and some take about 5 minutes,
and if
depending on the topic.
If you're really bored or you really want to know about LessonPix, you can go to our Facebook, our YouTube channel,
and just sit there.
And you can sit there and you can binge watch 3 minutes at a time while drinking your wine, all about LessonPix, 3 minutes at a time.
And more
episode
videos
after episode.
Yeah, there you go. So when you're done, if you don't get enough of us tonight, you can do that. So let's see, a little late. Can I get on the drawing still? Maureen says, can I get on the drawing still? Yes, you have to give us an idea about how you teach literacy, and that will get you entered into the drawings. So great, a few minutes each, great pace. And I've heard from a specific OT who's up in the north that she likes your pre-K voice. Super helpful.
She said that's my teacher voice on there.
Yeah, and Beth says don't leave yet because we haven't done the drawing. Enter a literacy idea to enter. Absolutely. So this is a good what's new, and we'll just keep that super short and sweet.
That is new. A lot of our tutorials are longer and very detailed. And if you really want to know about them, go to those. But these are just quick.
Right.
Wait a minute. How do I upload a photo?
Right.
Done.
Stuff. Yeah. All right. What's next? Oh, I know what's next. We have a quick video. You want to show this?
We have a great idea. Go. I like best dancing.
Nobody else can see it, but there you go. All right, we found a little tip from one of our trainings.
Maureen, you're gonna love this.
Yeah.
Now it is 4 minutes long, but
It's
Eric
worth it.
did a training. He did a training earlier tonight as well, and he showed LessonPix tools really quickly, one after the other after another, to customize a material for an individual student. It's great.
It's great. And he shows like a ton of things really quick. And we thought we would show it. And then if you have any questions about it, or if you think it's awesome, tell us and we'll put it up on the screen. And we all can sit here and enjoy it with you for a minute. Okay.
Go to the sharing center and we are going to go to games. This is the game spinner. I'm going to search for game boards. I want to show you, this is a really cool feature. So J alternate spellings, okay? We're just going to use the other download formats. Remember that pulls it down as PowerPoint. And if you're a Google user, please pay attention to this because remember you can save PowerPoint files into Google Slides and it'll convert it to a Google slide for you. So this is important for you as well. And we have an add-in for Google Slides that also works. So notice this little checkbox for material. I'm going to check that box and I'm going to say PowerPoint fixed with tokens. So this is the one that pulled it down with tokens on the side. And I'm going to open that up. And so I'm going to delete off the tokens I don't want. Take the tokens I do want, put them on the different start areas really quick. And then I can come right in here and notice I've got my insert symbols guy right here. I did the same thing with the add-ins option. So I can just bring this up and I'm going to use the play tool and make a spinner and I'm going to make numbers 1 through 5. And now I can literally share this on my whiteboard or whatever. And this guy's going to move 2 and he's going to play the game. So I literally have a spinner in here. But I can also even do searches for any type of image I want. So maybe I want one of the players' icons to be a bear, right? No problem. You can be a bear. And now you can have a token that's a bear, right? Instead of the pink one or something. So great way to do that as well. Let's say that you're working with somebody and she's a little girl and she uses she has glasses. She uses a walker. So I'm going to pop this little girl in here. And she looks a little bit like this, but our girl likes blue and is brunette as well. So I zoomed in. I'm going to go to this Browse tab, which are all our folders again. Actions, activities, ADLs, remember. I'm going to start to type sticker add-ons. So we have a folder called sticker add-ons. And I could put a Uncle Sam hat on her if I wanted, but we said she wears glasses. So I'm going to drop some glasses on her. And we said she uses a walker, right? This image just became a lot more relevant to her. Let's say her name is Anne, and she uses a walker. So I'm going to use that as a tag so I could pull this image up again. But I also said she was brunette and she liked blue, right? So let's recolor and customize her. We're going to make her brunette. And we're going to change her dress to blue. And now we're going to save that custom symbol. Now, if I right mouse click her and I say copy image, I can go back to that game board. See if I still have it up. I do. And I can paste that right in here. And now she's physically on the game board. We'll take this guy off because she's blue. And so she's physically on the game board. And I can go back to my spinner. And I can continue playing. So great way to do that as well. That's just a good way to pull in our images. How do you change the play tools to have pictures? You just come in here and under, when you go to make something, there are radial buttons. So I'm on numbers. I'm going to change this to tray. And then when I create game, now that is got images. Does it have to be in PowerPoint as you showed? No, it doesn't. When you are in, and I think I still have it up, in here, this is Google Slides. So this is just a Google slide. I've got the spinner over here, play tools, browse, they're all right here. So I can do all of that within Google Slides.
Isn't that awesome?
Mm-hmm.
I think that is a really tight 5-minute demo of awesome stuff you can do on Lesson.
I can do something exciting with the spinner any minute now when you tell me to. I've got a spinner with some really awesome things on it.
It is coming up next. I actually, we have some
Really?
comments in here that say let's see, I was on the early LessonPix Zoom today, and I'm so excited to prep materials. Eric did 80 minutes of great info tonight, which is great. I'm sorry, went a little over, but I'm not surprised. Let's see, planning to spend the weekend, checking out what LessonPix to offer. After Eric's Zoom tonight, excellent, Robin, thank you.
Lots of love for Eric tonight.
Right?
Mhm.
We got him. He
You need
needs
to
it.
let
He
him
works
know because
awfully
you
hard.
don't give him enough love, Bill. So
Yeah. I'm sorry you had trouble logging in, Melody. And you can also watch, there'll be another live one as well. And let's see, that's a literacy idea. I just watched the lesson, which was awesome. Nothing gets child's attention more than themselves or a friend, right?
Mhm.
Absolutely. So, all right. So these are the rest of these are all ideas. So I think that was great. I wanted to thank Eric. Eric does a great job on our video. So does Beth. Beth and Judy Schoonover.
We have the best trainers.
We did the
I'll
best
tell you.
trainers. So if you're an OT, you're likely to get like Judy or Alyssa Wern. Cassie Frost is a great trainer for special
Alyssa
ed.
Wern?
Beth, I think I said Alyssa. I didn't say Alyssa Wern. Sorry, Alyssa Wern. Beth does a lot of our SLP trainings and then lots of our other trainings just because you're like the official trainer.
and
And
hopefully
then
we can
Eric
have
does
some.
Eric does all of the big group trainings, and India does a great job. So,
Yep.
yeah,
That was a
and
great
hopefully we're
idea.
going to start with some lunch and learns on some smaller topics coming
Yeah.
up in the
shorter ones.
in the
Yeah,
fall.
I like that idea. Yeah.
All right. Do we have another video? Because it's about time.
Well, we have. You know, you're a little cheesy.
So corny.
All right. So, if you have any last minutes lunch and learn, sign me up. There you go, Beth. You have one sign up already. Gina Davis, she's famous. So, So let's do the drawings. Okay.
Okay, so what we're giving away?
We're going to do
first?
3 drawings. 2 are for LessonPix. The third has been bumped. It's going to be the ReadTopiaGo membership.
If they already have LessonPix.
It's a renewal.
But if their group already buys it,
They can get a $25 gift card for Amazon. It knows it's less than our amount because we'd rather have you do the renewal. Okay. All right. So that's we're gonna do 3. And Maureen, we're gonna figure out how to get it from you in just a minute.
Let's share.
All right.
Beth's screen.
All right. Beth's screen. All right. Let's see,
Okay.
Beth. These are
So
all
I actually have the play tools up full
really
screen.
big. Full screen.
Really big. And while it may be a little blurry there, when I spin it, it's going to be perfectly clear and wonderful. So
All right, let's do a drawing.
I'm going to spin, and let's see whose name comes up. Ellen Buell.
Ellen Buell.
Ellen Buell.
Congratulations. You
Ellen
won
Buell. So
Let's
you
next-
won.
membership, renewal, or $25 gift card to Amazon. And you can tell Beth which one you want, and she'll
Yes.
figure out how to
Please
get
tell me
it.
in the chat if you want the Amazon gift card, you need to DM me your email, please. I can't just
Or
send
you
it
can
to you.
email Beth at LessonPix.
Yeah, you can email me at Beth@LessonPix.
Yay. Yay. There you go. All
Okay.
right.
Next
All right,
one.
Beth.
I'm going to spin again.
Yeah.
Christine Barber.
Christine Barber, you won a LessonPix renewal or a gift certificate.
$25
$25.
gift card to. Is Christine still here?
Amazon. To the Amazon.
The Amazon.
Yeah.
Amazon. I do not see her saying yay yet, but we will assume that she's going to in a second.
Must be present to win.
Must be present to win.
So say hello.
How do you get your name on a spinner? Jessica, it is too late for you, but next week we'll tell you in the beginning. We basically said add your literacy idea. We should read Ellen's idea. It's right here. It says my literacy idea suggestion for the littles is to try and connect to their interests and make your room match and choose some books for them to engage. Don't forget to use LessonPix even if it's only for a few pictures. Very good.
Okay.
All right.
One more.
I
We got
think-
one more. Is this for the big prize?
So you want to give her enough time to pop up, Christine Barber?
She's not
Going-
here. I can
Going
spin-
once, going twice.
She might have had to log off. All right, I'm going to spin.
Spin again for her.
Mhm. Larry Geiger. Larry, are you still here?
Geiger. Larry is hopefully still here.
I feel like Larry was here last week and left.
Jessica Johnson asks, how do you get your name on the spinner?
So-
in the beginning, we told you to add your idea, what you're going to do for literacy to the group. It says, congratulations. Let's do this rather than find people and spin this big group. Oh, Larry's here.
Larry's here.
Larry's here.
Yay!
Let me see if I can find Larry's idea.
We've got the big one.
There it is.
There it
Coming
is.
up.
Idea. These LessonPix with my groups to increase literacy skills when teaching comprehension of passages.
Yeah, exactly like I was talking about before, right? We've got to
Yeah.
make sure that they've got that background knowledge and that understanding. All right.
One
this is
more
the
spin. This one is for the ReadTopiaGo, and you definitely have to still be here on this one.
Yeah.
We're not letting you off the hook on this one.
Because I'll need your email too.
Yes,
Dean
Christine
Walensky.
Walensky. Are you still here, Christine? You're going to be so sad if you.
No, she's gonna be so upset.
No, I'm looking back to see her. Christine, she's still here. I feel like she just posted a couple moments ago. Christine, hi,
Here's your
Walensky.
idea. I love reading in different voices, but
I
I
love
mostly
that.
love using visuals to add a picture of a student posing in the scene.
Mm.
And she just, yeah, she said, woohoo, she's here. She just posted.
And she is
woohoo.
here. Woohoo.
And that is a great
So
idea.
glad.
All right.
I know.
Yay. All right. So just so people know what we're doing, could you do me a favor, Beth? Could you unmaximize that window? Don't kill it. Don't kill it. Just double click so it's not big anymore. There you go. All right. And then just yes, pull that aside so we can make it a little bit bigger. Let's show them how you did that, because that's a LessonPix tool, right? So you put the pictures,
Right.
you put the names, right, over in LessonPix.
So, I typed. So I typed your names in here.
There you go.
Right.
Yep.
I clicked add words, and it's going to add the symbols to the tray. And then all I did is I go to my play tools, and I chose the spinner. I could have used the dice too.
Or the draw.
Or the draw cards, right?
Yeah, or the draw cards are great too, because they only pull,
Once.
each one once. And I hit create game. And then it's not a pop-up, it's an adjustable window. So if you need to make it bigger, you can make it bigger, right?
Right.
It looks amazing on your phone, by the way.
It works perfectly on your phone.
A spinner on a tablet or a phone to have.
Right. And I'm sorry, Emily, we're not giving anything else away. It was just a demonstration.
Emily, if you're still here, say so, and we will renew you just because.
Okay, there we go. Can you color code
the dice? You can put background colors on your images, and they will show up.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I think. Yes. All right.
Yeah. I think too.
All right. We got to make sure we have Christine. Christine won the big one. Who won the big one?
Yes, Christine. HYSHKA.
Make sure you send Beth your email, and we will make sure that gets to Maureen, who can
Beth,
get you your code.
Ellen, Larry, and Christine.
Yeah. Beth at LessonPix.com. Easy email. BETH@LessonPix.com.
Yep. All right.
I love it.
Are we done?
Oh, it was excellent.
This was good.
Excellent.
This was good. And you know what? Adding some structure has helped us a little bit.
Well, I will say. Also adding Maureen.
Yeah, that helped.
That was good.
Happy to come anytime.
So I think we know who our next guests are going to be. For those of you who know us well, I think we're going to have a visit from the squatter.
Oh.
Yeah, we're going to have a visit from the squatter in about 2 weeks. And our friends over at Cast.
Friends at Cast who are doing awesome stuff.
Yep. So I think this is great. Somebody thinks we had a great conversation. Yes.
I think it was great.
Hey,
I think it was great.
Evans. I know.
Maureen, thank you for doing this. I know it's not always super easy to wing it with us. We're not exactly, the world's easiest. And Emily,
you are a winner.
You are a winner. Let Beth know she will renew.
Yeah, just Beth at LessonPix.com.
We're not sending you any gift cards. You're getting a renewal.
So.
Well, Bill, just so you know, I like a challenge.
Yeah. Was this a challenge?
We aim to please.
This is good, right? All right, everybody, thank you very much. And we will be back, I think, in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Nothing next week. 2 weeks, and we'll see you all then. That's it. We're off for Labor Day. That's a good way to look at it.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Good night. Have fun. See you later. Bye.
Thank you.